Introduction 1075A, sponsored by Majority Leader Amanda Farias, would require borough to create training materials on the legislative process and rules of parliamentary procedure. Introduction 441A, sponsored by Councilmember Althea Stevens, would require the New York City Department of Education to provide voter registration forms and materials on voter methods and accessibility options to improve young adults' access to voter registration materials. Thank you to our staff members, Johari Frazier and Erica Cohen. Introduction 691A, sponsored by Councilmember Farrah Lewis, would require the DOE to solicit feedback from high school students about their experiences with STEM education and report on the offerings and enrollment of STEM classes. Introduction 1216A, sponsored by Councilmember Linda Lee and Councilmember Shahana Hanif, would require the Office to End Gender-Based Violence to provide hair, nail, and skincare salons with posters containing information about gender-based violence solutions available in the city. Thank you to our staff members, Julia Goldsmith-Pinkham. Introduction 828A, also sponsored by Councilmember Lewis, would require DCAS to provide promotional materials to CUNY students and recent graduates relating to careers in civil service and introduction on how to apply. And Introduction 829A, also sponsored by Councilmember Lewis, would require DCAS to create an advertising campaign to promote civil service examinations. Thank you to our staff member, Rie Ogasawara. Introduction Nurse would require the Department of Correction to produce a biannual report on the 6A work release program, disaggregated by relevant demographic characteristics. Thank you to our staff members, Natalie Meltzer and Jeremy Whiteman. Introduction 199A, sponsored by Councilmember Jennifer Gutierrez, would establish an Office of Algorithmic Accountability. Introduction 926A, sponsored by Councilmember Julie Menon, would require the Office of Algorithmic Accountability to establish basic compliance standards when developing, procuring, deploying, and using public impacting artificial intelligence. Introduction 1024A, also sponsored by Councilmember Gutierrez, would require this office to publish a list of all AI systems for which it has conducted a pre-deployment assessment. Thank you to our staff member, Irene Byhovsky. And Introduction 1297A, sponsored by Majority Whip Sylvina Brooks Powers, would create a civil cause of action for crimes of violence motivated by gender that occurred prior to January 9th, 2022. It would also allow such claims against any party who committed, directed, enabled, participated, or conspired in the commission of a crime of violence motivated by gender to bring a civil claim against that party. Claims under this law must commence within 18 months of the effective date of the local law. Any person who brought a claim between March 1st, 2020, requirements of a cause of action under this law may amend or refile their claim to add a cause of action under this section. Thank you to our staff members, Johari Frazier, Juanita John, Julia Goldsmith-Pinkham, Sarah Liss, Sahar Moazami, and Smita Deshmukh. Thank you for your attention. Now I turn it back over to our Majority Leader.
Thank you, Speaker Adams. We will now move into discussion of general orders, and I'd like to first recognize Councilmember Brewer, followed by Stevens, then Majority Whip Brooks Powers.
Thank you very much. I'm discussing Intro 1235A, which is known as the FOIL Bill. I might even call it the Jeff Colton Bill. And this legislation overhauls the city's Freedom of Information law, which is called FOIL, request system. People who file FOILs can wait months, maybe years, for city agencies to provide the records. This bill creates a single citywide portal to submit and track FOIL requests. And I certainly want to thank Pauline Toole, who's a commissioner of Doris. They have one. I just hope that this bill will enhance it, because it does need to have more agencies being responsive. It lets users see every step of the request as it happens: acknowledgement, deadlines, extensions, decisions, appeals, and record releases. It makes all release records searchable and available. It requires the city to create performance standards and publish statistics on FOIL requests. And there are other provisions to make FOIL simpler, more transparent, and more accessible. I want to say that obviously this portal does exist. It's probably the best in the country, but agencies do not respond in a timely manner and use it. I want to thank Rachel Faust from Maria Van Albany. She's been phenomenal. Irene Badusky, Audrey Sun, Brad Reed from the City Council Legislative Division, Sam Goldsmith from my office, and the thank you to the 33 co-sponsors and to Councilmember Gutierrez, who got it out of committee. Thank you very much.
Recognizing Councilmember Stevens.
Good afternoon. Today I raise to speak on an important introduction of 441A, the Young Adult Voter Registration Act, legislation that ensures young people are not only seen but empowered as full participants in our democracy. This bill requires that the Department of Education provide every high school senior with a code, voter registration form, voting material, and accessibility information throughout the school year, not just at graduation, but throughout the school year. It sounds simple, but it is very transformative, because what we're really doing is moving the barriers that has kept too many young people, especially Black and brown young people and low-income communities on the sideline of civic life. And colleagues, I want us to be honest with this moment we're living in. Across the country, we've witnessed a coordination effort to chip away at voting rights, to silence certain communities, and to make it harder, not easier, for people to participate in the democracy process. We're seeing books banned, curriculum rolled back, and policies that push our young people further away from the civic engagement rather than inviting them in. Intro 441, in my perspective, is saying something very loud and clear. Not in New York, not our young people, not the communities that we fought so hard to be heard. This legislation may not trend online or demand headlines, but it will do something far more important. It will create informed voters, engage residents, and generations that understand their power. To all those future voters, politicians, on any level, it's not a waste of time. Your voice matters. Your vote matters. Your strength is in our numbers. And thank you.
Recognizing Majority Whip Brooks Powers, followed by Council Members Dinowitz, Narcisse, and Menon.
Thank you and good afternoon. Today, the Council takes decisive action to protect New Yorkers in two critical ways. First, with the passage of Intro 1297, we restore the full strength of the Gender Motivated Violence Act. After a court ruling put hundreds of survivor cases in jeopardy, we had a responsibility to act. This legislation reopens the look-back window and makes clear that institutions that enable abuse must be held accountable. Survivors should never lose their chance at justice because of a loophole. We are also passing Intro 1049, which addresses a quiet but harmful practice at gas stations across the city. Large pre-authorization holds, sometimes over $100, can drain a family's account for days. For those using benefit cards, these holds can mean losing assistance they cannot replace. This bill requires clear disclosure so New Yorkers are not caught off guard. These bills address very different challenges, but they share a common purpose: protecting the people we serve and ensuring fairness for every New Yorker. I urge my colleagues' support, and I'm proud to see both measures move forward today. Thank you.
Recognizing Councilmember Dinowitz.
Thank you, Madam Majority Leader. Every day, New Yorkers rely on information produced by our city: a tenants' rights flyer, a school registration form, a public health notice, or a benefits application printed from a website. These documents are often the front door to city services. And we say these documents are designed for New Yorkers, but not really all New Yorkers. For too many people with disabilities, individuals with low vision, seniors, the way our materials are formatted can make vital information difficult or even impossible to use. Intro 163 addresses a problem that is both widespread and solvable. The bill requires the mayor or the mayor's designee to establish official guidelines for the accessibility of any printed document created by an agency or related to an agency program or activity. The guidelines must include standards for formatting, visual design, and readability. And where practicable, any printed document an agency creates for public dissemination must comply with these guidelines. And these guidelines are not complicated, but they're powerful. They ensure consistent readability, appropriate font sizes, limits on overly stylized serif fonts, clear contrast standards, logical formatting, and layouts that don't get lost when printed on different devices or at different scales. In plain terms, they guarantee that documents produced by the City of New York are easy to read, easy to follow, and accessible to people who need them. When a parent can't read a school notice, when a senior can't decipher a housing application, when a constituent can't understand a health alert, those are not small inconveniences. They're barriers to participation in our city and barriers to safety. 163 is about removing those barriers. It's about respecting the reality of how New Yorkers engage with government and meeting them where they are I want to thank disability rights leaders, seniors, and community groups who continually push for access and equal opportunity. I want to thank Sarah Sucher and Sarah Liss, and Councilmember Linda Lee, my co-prime sponsor, and of course Speaker Adrienne Adams, who I'm deeply grateful for her leadership and unwavering commitment to building a government that meets residents where they
your
are.
time has expired.
I encourage everyone to vote for 163. Thank you, Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you. Recognizing Councilmember Narcisse.
Sorry. Thank you, Majority Leader, and thank you, Madam Speaker. Today, this council is voting on 1004A, a bill that addresses a barrier faced by New Yorkers who rely on wheelchairs. When a wheelchair breaks, it is a small inconvenience, but for those that use it, it's a life-changing. It cannot go without it. It can mean missing work, missing medical appointments, missing graduation, or being unable to leave the home. Too many people are left searching for repair providers with no clear information and no reliable place to turn. This legislation changes that. Entry 1004A requires the mayor's office for people with disabilities to maintain a clear, accessible citywide list of wheelchair repair providers, including contact information, hours, insurance accepted, and ways to connect with the services that help people locate their repair. It is a simple tool, but one that can prevent days of delay and unnecessary hardship. I take this issue personally. Before I became a council member, I owned and operated a DME business and sold wheelchairs. I saw firsthand how a broken part can disrupt a person's entire life and how families often struggle to find help quickly. This bill is about giving people straightforward information so they can stay mobile, safe, and independent. I want to thank the Speaker, of course, my colleagues, and all the legislative team body that came and helped with this entire thing, and all the advocates, and of course, my staff. And I want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to present this. And with that, I will say vote aye, everyone. Thank you.
Recognizing Councilmember Menon.
Thank you, Majority Leader. Artificial intelligence is increasingly relied upon for city operations with certain agencies such as the Department of Buildings and the Department of Education and others. We have a responsibility as a city to ensure that the government is utilizing this technology in a fair, transparent, and accountable way to truly serve New Yorkers' best interests. My legislation, Intro 926, creates clear, responsible standards for AI use across city agencies to ensure fairness, safeguard privacy, and increase transparency in government technology. The bill is part of a package of legislation championed by Councilmember Gutierrez as the GUARD Act that will create an Office of Algorithmic Accountability to review such standards every 2 years. And I really want to thank and congratulate Councilmember Gutierrez for her bills today. Technology often outpaces policy, so being proactive is truly essential to act on behalf of New Yorkers who may be unaware of the impact of AI in city government actions. I'm proud to see this council, under the leadership of Speaker Adams, is advancing proper oversight over AI in government agencies. I also want to thank the bill drafter, Irene Bishovsky, and from my team, Jonathan Shep, Brandon Jordan, Jack LaBelle, and Mercedes Anderson. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no one else signed up to speak. Report of special committees.
None.
Reports of standing committees.
Report of the Committee on Civil Service and Labor, intros 828A and 829A, CUNY Civil Service and Civil Service Exams.
Amended and coupled on general orders.
Report of the Committee on Consumer and Worker Protection, intro 1049A, Petroleum Products.
Amended and coupled on general orders.
Report of the Committee on Criminal Justice, intro 1241A, Work Release Program.
Amended and coupled on general orders.
Report of the Committee on Finance, Preconsidered Reso 1153, Transparency Resolution.
Coupled on general orders.
Report of the Committee on Governmental Operations, State and Federal Legislation, intros 441A and 1075A, Voter Registration Forms and Legislative Process Training.
Amended and coupled on general orders.
Report of the Committee on Land Use, LU 364 and Reso 1158, Lincoln Hospital.
Coupled on general orders.
LU 415 and Reso 1159, and LU 419 and Reso 1163, landmark designations.
Coupled on general orders.
LUs 422 and 423, 1720 Atlantic Avenue.
Approved with modifications and referred to the City Planning Commission pursuant to Section 197 of the New York City Charter.
LU 429 and Reso 1164, and LU 430 and Reso 1165, 1551 Broadway.
Coupled on general orders.
LU 433 and Reso 1166, Praise Tabernacle.
Coupled on general orders.
Report of the Committee on Mental Health, Disabilities, and Addiction, intros 163 and 1004A, Accessibility Guidelines and Wheelchair Repair Providers.
Amended and coupled on general orders.
Report of the Committee on Rules, Privileges, and Elections, M182 and Reso 1167, disapproving the appointment of Mitchell Katz, Board of Health.
Coupled on general orders.
M184 and Reso 1168, disapproving the appointment of Dave Chokshi, Board of Health.
Coupled on general orders.
Report of the Committee on Technology, intros 199A, 926A, and 1024A, Artificial Intelligence and Algorithmic Accountability.
Amended and coupled on general orders.
Intro 1235A, Freedom of Information Law Requests.
Amended and coupled on general orders.
Report of the Committee on Women and Gender Equity, Intro 691A, STEM Education Reporting.
Amended and coupled on general orders.
Intro 1216A, Cosmetology Establishments.
Amended and coupled on general orders.
Intro 1297A, Gender Motivated Violence Protection Law.
Amended and coupled on general orders.
General Orders Calendar, LU 409 and Reso 1169 through LU 425 and Reso 1172, various rezonings.
Coupled on general orders.
Resolution appointing various persons, Commissioner of Deeds.
Coupled on general orders, I now ask that the clerk take a roll call vote on all of the items coupled on today's general orders calendar.
Feliz.
Permission to vote on no land use call-ups and no items on today's agenda.
Permission granted.
I vote aye on all. Thank you.
Thank you. Abreu.
Aye.
Aviles. Ayala.
Aye.
Banks.
Aye on all.
Botcher. Brannan. Brewer. Thank you. Brooks Powers.
Permission to explain my vote?
Permission granted.
So I vote aye on all, but I just wanted to be on the record with just sharing what a phenomenal professional I believe Dr. Mitch Katz is. He serves as my co-chair for the Far Rockaway Trauma Healthcare Access Task Force. I think it is egregious that he is being utilized in the way that he is for political gain, and it's unfair to him as a medical professional that he is, who I have the utmost respect for. So while I vote aye on this, this is in no way, shape, or form against the work of Dr. Katz and what he means to the city of New York. Thank you.
Kaban.
I vote aye on all, and just a quick shout out to the Teamsters who are in the house today.
Carr.
Be voting no on pre-considered Resolution 1153 as well as M182 with accompanying Resolution 1167, and aye on the rest.
And just a friendly reminder to members, if you have a disclosure, to please disclose it prior to your vote.
De La Rosa.
Aye on all.
Dinowitz.
Aye on all.
Felder.
Aye. Aye.
Thank you. Gennaro.
I vote aye.
Apologies, Councilmember Gennaro. Can you repeat yourself, please?
I vote aye.
Thank you. Holden.
Aye on all except Reso 1153, of which I vote no.
Thank you. Hudson.
Aye.
Joseph.
Aye.
Krishnan.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye on all.
Lewis.
I would like to disclose for the record that MTA is being funded and my brother is associated with this entity, and I vote aye on all.
Thank you. Mamarato.
I vote aye on all with the exception of 1153, and I'd like to disclose on the record that my fabulous spouse works for the Board of Elections. Thank you.
Marte.
Aye on all, and I abstain on Reso 1167 and Reso 1168.
Thank you. Mealy.
Aye.
Menon.
Aye on all.
Morano.
Aye on all with the exception of pre-considered resolution 1153, on which I vote no, and M182 and accompanying resolution 1167, on which I abstain.
Moya.
I vote aye. I vote aye.
Thank you. Narcisse.
Permission to expand my vote?
Permission granted.
Thank you, Madam.
Councilmember, your microphone.
I want to make it clear that my respect for Dr. Michelle Katz is unwavering. As a chair for the hospital committee, I have seen firsthand the commitment, the strengthening of the New York City Health and Hospital. He has the compassion and the passion, yet I know it's not against him, but the fact that this vote will reflect concern of I know this vote is reflecting the concern that we have, which I understand fully. So for that, I will abstain from M182 and accompanying resolution of 1167 because if it's not the best, it's one of the best. So on that note, I'll abstain from that. Aye for the rest.
Thank you. Nurse.
I vote aye.
Osei.
I vote aye.
Thank you. Councilmember Brewer.
Thank you. I have to disclose that I teach at CUNY, and also I want to change one vote on M182, Reso 1167, and M184, Resolution 1168. I abstain. Thank you.
Thank you. Palladino.
I vote aye on all except pre-considered Reso 1153 and Reso 889. Oh, sorry.
Thank you. Powers.
I vote aye.
Wrestler.
I vote aye with the exceptions of M182 and M184 and the accompanying resolutions 1167 and 1168, for which I abstain. And I just want to congratulate Majority Leader Farias and Councilmember Stevens for passing two great bills out of the Governmental Operations Committee. Thank you.
Riley.
Aye.
Salam.
Vote aye on all.
Salamanca.
Aye on all.
Thank you. Sanchez.
I vote aye on all with the exception of M182 and M184, on which I abstain, as well as on their accompanying resolutions.
Thank you. Schulman.
I vote aye on all with the exception of M182 and M184 and their accompanying resolutions, on which I abstain.
Stevens.
I vote aye on all, and special thanks and shout out to Chair Ressler, who heard my bill and passed it out of committee. Thank you so much.
Ong.
Aye on all.
Vernikov.
I vote aye on all with the exception of preconsidered Reso 1153, on which I vote no. Thank you.
Williams.
I vote aye. Oh, and disclosing for the record that I'm associated with CUNY. Thanks.
1.
Aye.
Zhuang.
I on all. I want to abstain on M182 and M184 and with the company resolution.
Thank you. Thank you. Ariola.
I vote aye on all with the exception of Reso 1153, for which I am a no. And I'd like to disclose that my son Matthew works for the Department of Sanitation, which is being funded in this transparency resolution. Thank you.
Farias.
I vote aye on all.
Speaker Adams.
Aye.
All items on today's general order calendar are adopted by a vote of 48 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and 0 abstentions, with the exception of Resolution 1153, which was adopted by a vote of 41 in the affirmative, 7 in the negative, and 0 abstentions, and M182 and Resolution 1167, which were adopted by a vote of 39 in the affirmative, 1 in the negative, and 8 abstentions, and M184 and Resolution 1168, which were adopted by a vote of 42 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and 6 abstentions. And for the record, the revised land use call-up vote is 47 in the affirmative and 0 in the negative. Introduction and reading of bills.
All bills have been referred to committee as indicated on today's agenda.
Thank you. We will now move into the discussion of resolutions, and I'd like to recognize Councilmember Caban.
Thank you. I'm proud to sponsor Reso 736, urging the state to fully fund assertive community treatment teams, otherwise known as ACT teams, which provide mobile behavioral health care treatment to people with documented serious mental illness. ACT teams meet patients where they are. They provide around-the-clock care for individuals within their communities, allowing them to heal in comfort instead of being ripped from their homes and saving taxpayers the cost of expensive inpatient stays. ACT teams have been proven to work. They save lives, improve our public health and public safety, and support our overburdened mental health care systems. But ACT teams are currently unable to successfully meet the needs of New Yorkers. There are simply too few of them and too many patients who need their care. The wait lists are too long and the need is too dire. While the Progressive Caucus worked hard to slash those wait lists through our Crisis to Care budget initiative, this is not a problem the city can solve alone. I urge my colleagues to join me in voting for Reso 736 so that we can send a clear message to the governor and state ledge that we need full funding for data-driven, compassionate mental health care resources. And again, thanks for the Teamsters for being here. They've been out in the cold several states in a row now organizing for the Delivery Protection Act. Thank you.
Seeing no one else signed up to speak, we will now have a voice vote on today's resolutions. If you wish to vote against or abstain from any of today's resolutions, please notify the Legislative Documents Unit by email or by approaching the dais. I'll now read today's resolutions into the record. Resolution 106A calls on the New York State Legislature to pass and the governor to sign Senate Bill number 3563 and Assembly Bill number 2367 to expand eligibility for the Disability Rent Increase Exemption Program to additional qualifying household members. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Resolution 452 calls on the United States Congress to pass and the President to sign legislation to lower the age of eligibility for Older Americans Act supported social services and programs from 60 to 45 years for individuals living with HIV. All those in favor say aye. All opposed say nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Resolution 736 calls on the New York State Legislature to introduce and pass and the governor to sign legislation to increase funding for assertive community treatment teams. All those in favor say aye. All opposed say nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Resolution 850 calls on the United States Congress to pass and the President to sign legislation that would expand Medicare to include long-term services and supports for seniors and individuals with disabilities. All those in favor say aye. All opposed say nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Resolution 889 declares New York City's commitment to affirm and defend continued access for reproductive rights. All those in favor say aye. All opposed say nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Resolution 985 calls on the New York State Assembly to pass A 7851 and the governor to sign Senate Bill number 2534 and Assembly Bill number 7850. Scree or DRE enrollee pays at the level it was when they first became eligible, or at the level it was 2 years before they entered the program, given that entrance into the program occurred more than 2 years after they first became eligible. All those in favor say the ayes have it. Resolution 1049 calls on the United States Congress to introduce and pass and the President to sign legislation to incorporate mental wellness training within OSHA 10 and OSHA 30 training. All those in favor say aye. All opposed say nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. We will now move into general discussion, and I'd like to first acknowledge Councilmember Brewer, followed by Morano.
Thank you very much. I just want to say that James Liu is here. He is a Vann Scholar of the most incredible expertise and intelligence. He's here in the audience today, and I just want to thank him and thank the speaker for the Vann Fellows. Thank you very much.
Recognizing Councilmember Morano.
Thank you, Madam Majority Leader. Today I have the privilege of introducing 4 pieces of legislation, very apropos because my son turns 4 today. Each meaningful, each important, and each one the result of the kind of late-night phone calls, emails, and hallway conversations that I suspect my staff and the Legislative Division is still recovering from. But I want to highlight one in particular because it addresses a crisis that has been hiding in plain sight for far too long. The bill establishes the New York City Guardianship Reform Commission, the opening phase of what many of us have come to call Wendy's Law. And yes, I fully understand that we don't officially name bills in this chamber. Legislative Counsel has reminded me of that fact with the sort of patience normally reserved for kindergarten teachers. But the name speaks to the heart of why we're doing this. Many Americans first learned about abusive guardianships because of Britney Spears. People who'd never heard the term conservatorship suddenly became legal scholars overnight. And then, of course, Wendy Williams. Very public ordeal brought even more attention to just how easily a person can lose control over their own life. I've spoken with Wendy personally, and she supports this effort 100%. She's looking forward to testifying on the bill and hopefully being in this chamber when we pass it. But this isn't a bill for celebrities. This is a bill for the thousands of New Yorkers whose names you'll never see on page 6, seniors with no family, adults with disabilities, individuals who get swept into guardianships that can strip away their rights, their finances, and at times even their dignity, all with far too little transparency or oversight. This commission is the first step towards fixing that. Before we change the system, we need to understand exactly how it works and, more importantly, how it doesn't. Here in New York City, this commission will study current practices, identify gaps and abuses, gather real data, and work with families, advocates, and experts to recommend recommend concrete reforms. Justice Brandeis famously said, "Sunlight is the best disinfectant." In this case, sunlight may also be the best guardian. Thank you.
Seeing no one else signed up to speak, I'll now call on Speaker Adrian Adams to close today's stated meeting.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and thank you. The stated meeting of November 25th, 2025 is hereby adjourned.
BLAC.